So I am Molly Moon. That's my real name. My parents are hippies. And I started Molly Moon's Homemade Ice Cream in 2008. And I'm just going to tell you a short story about my path to get there, and then let you guys ask any questions you might have. So I went to college with Mario at the University of Montana in Missoula. And I was a journalism major, but I was really involved in student politics and local politics. And I graduated college with a journalism degree and couldn't use it because I had no relevant internships, because all of the student opportunities in Missoula wouldn't let me work for them because I was student body president, or I was on the student senate, or I was too involved. So I was always biased in one way or another. So I found myself with a degree with no relevant internship or externship experience, and papers really not, and radio stations really not willing to hire someone like that. So I got whatever job I could here in Seattle. And I was a fundraiser for UW Medicine for a while, raising money for breast cancer research and for Harborview's Uncompensated Care Fund. So I did that for a couple of years, kind of trying to figure myself out. I was married to the drummer in my favorite band and kind of having a fun time, being a Capitol Hill kid. And got really excited about the Howard Dean campaign. So this was 2003. And started Googling and trying to get involved in the campaign any way I could, and found on the Howard Dean blog these 3 guys in Brooklyn who were throwing concerts for Howard Dean and raising a little bit of money and sending the money to him, but also registering young voters and people who maybe had never voted before. So I got really excited about that because I was pretty involved in the Seattle music scene, and I emailed them and said, can I be your West Coast chapter? And this PAC was called Music for America. So they said, sure, you can be our West Coast chapter. That's so awesome. Someone's heard of us. So I started throwing shows at Chop Suey and Numos in 2003, and raising a little bit of money for Howard Dean, but mostly just doing a lot of young voter registration. And I was like leaving voter registration forms on the bar at the Cha-Cha and Linda's, and like trying to be this do-gooder kid with all the hipsters. And it was super fun, and we ended up meeting a Silicon Valley venture capitalist who was the Dean campaign finance chair, who thought that our organization was really cool and ended up giving us about $1.5 million to make our nonprofit real. So at the end of 2003, I became the executive director of Music for America, and we became a national political nonprofit that partnered with bands to register their fans to vote. And we went on tour with bands all over the US and did voter registration and issue education work. So I did that for 3 years. I really loved it. I'm a very passionate political person. But I got really tired of fundraising for my salary and all of my friends' salaries, and I basically felt like I wasn't really able to do as much good as I wanted to do, because I was constantly like trying to dress up on my small salary and go meet fancy rich people and ask them to continue to support our work. That was hard for them to understand when it was a lot of like grungy hip hop and indie rock shows. So after the 2006 elections and the Democrats took back Congress, I was sort of like, I feel pretty good. Young voter turnout has increased 11% in the last 3 years. I'm going to get out of this game. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, and I was whining to my mom on the phone one night about my quarter-life crisis, and she said, Molly, why don't you just open an ice cream shop? So I worked at an ice cream shop in Missoula, Montana, all through college, and I learned to, scoop the cream and make the cream and do all of the things that it takes to run a little ice cream shop, and I loved it, and I was like, Mom, why would I want to do that again? And she was like, you can be political, you can use compostable, whatever you call it, Molly, and you can, you're so farm to table, you can buy all the ingredients from little farmers, and she totally put it together for me, and I was like, that is the best idea I've ever heard of. So one little piece of advice I have about ideas is sometimes your mom has way better ones than you do. So in the beginning of 2007, I started writing a business plan for an ice cream shop that sourced ingredients locally, paid for 100% of its employees' health care, used all sustainable materials to build the shop, gave back to the community in a meaningful way. I wrote a business plan that totally embodied my politics and my personality, as these people said earlier. And I sort of told myself, if this business plan turns out to be, like the numbers turn out to be red at the bottom because I've paid for too much health insurance and I've bought too many organic strawberries from Freddie at his little urban farm, then I'm not going to do it, because I'm not going to do something that I don't feel good about, and so I'll just keep being a political consultant. I was running Dow Constantine's campaign that year for a paycheck while I wrote my business plan, and so I thought, I can just keep writing county council campaigns or do whatever, because I'm not going to start a business that I don't feel really good about, and I'm not going to cut corners. But the numbers at the bottom of the business plan were black. So I raised a little bit of money from some former political donors and some friends and my boyfriend, who became my second husband. And I started the Wallingford shop in 2008. So we opened on like May 10th, 2008, and there was a line on the first day around 2 corners of the block, and it was crazy. And families and just Seattleites really loved the concept and really loved Molly Moons, and I was just awestruck by the success in the first few weeks. And I was staying up every night until like 4 and 5 in the morning making enough ice cream to try and have like ice cream in the freezer the next day, and we ran out of 1 million flavors those first few weeks, but I hired other ice cream makers, and by like the middle of the first summer I realized that what I was missing from Seattle, that was a community gathering place that was multi-generational with really good ice cream, was missing for me, but it was also missing for a lot of people. And I realized more neighborhoods than Wallingford could use this kind of place. So I signed my lease on my Capitol Hill location, and I've since opened 3 additional locations, and I'm negotiating a couple leases right now, and I just kind of think every neighborhood could use a multi-generational community gathering place that has really good ice cream that you can feel good about, and you can feel good about the business that you're patronizing. So that's the story as quickly as I could tell it. What questions do you have?